Welcome back to another episode of Midnight Oil Motorsports. My name is Ian and thanks for stopping by. Whether you're a first-time viewer or a long-time viewer, I appreciate you taking the time to check me out. Today, we're working on my wonderful 1991 Mazda Miata. Now, you guys have seen me do a quarter panel, a rocker panel, and even paint it. But today we're doing something that isn't bodywork. I do other things other than that. In fact, right now I'm actually in the middle of doing the cooling system, but realized I didn't have everything. So I decided it'd be a great time to take a break from that and wait for parts to come in and install this wonderful gift from my wife. It's the MiataRoadster 5-speed, tall, angled, and brushed short shifter kit. I've never had a short shifter kit in a car, but why not on a nice track car? I wanted something angled toward the wheel so I didn't have to move my arm as far. And also, the shifter on that thing, I didn't realize it, is absolutely spanked. It wobbles around like a wet noodle, and today we are going to be fixing that. Can't wait to show you guys. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and actually, I will show you also why a shifter will wobble. 9 times out of 10, it is a shifter bushing. But again, we'll go over that when we dive into this kit. So let's do it. So what does the kit all come with? Well, it comes in this beautiful Ziploc bag that's been sitting on a shelf for a little bit. First thing you'll notice is obviously the angled short throw shifter. Now what's cool about this is that it actually is mostly pre-assembled. Very nice. And even though this is a short throw shifter with a longer handle, this actually is about the same throw as stock, which is pretty cool. It just brings it close to the steering wheel and is super notchy. Love it. We've got some insulation to keep noise and smells and everything else out of the passenger compartment. We've got our most important piece here, honestly. This is the boot that goes around the shifter. What happens with these a lot of the time is it'll rip and tear around here and it'll end up being not so great and you'll end up smelling transmission fluid and everything else. You'll notice that right away, actually. Next part we've got is we have another insulating piece that goes somewhere around here. I can imagine. I'm not really too sure because I can't read the instructions. We've got a split ring ball cock washer. Yes, that's what it's called. Laugh it up, but that's just the name of it. It is actually this piece right here. I'm not sure if this is a spare or what, but I'm still learning. We got our actual shifter bushing, which if you have a sloppy shifter, this is usually what's bad. And finally, we have the spacer and retaining piece for the shifter in the transmission. So other than that, yeah, they give you a zip tie to zip tie this around your shifter, as well as some assembly lube, as well as the bolts you'll need, because you need longer bolts for the spacer. So other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory how to put it together, but I'm gonna explain it to you guys and show you how easy it is to do this. So as you can see, a little bit different than your normal Chinesium or eBay or Temu or AliExpress or whatever your favorite brand is. More comprehensive kit because you get all of this stuff with it. Now, is there anything wrong with those? Well, no, but you can't really find a shifter like this in one of those. So let's hop in the car. I'll show you what's wrong with my shifter, how to disassemble it, and then how to reassemble it. Let's do it. So picture this. You're on a 45-mile-per-hour road. You're behind someone's grandmother, trying to pass them in their Corolla, and you're giving your Miata every single ounce it's got. Foot to the floor, 90 horsepower, just absolutely smoking it. And you shift, and miss. Fourth gear, maybe third gear because you're crossing over, or shift from second to fifth, and now grandma's passing you. Well, that's because of this. There's supposed to be no movement there, but there is. Now, why is that? Well, remember that plastic shifter bushing I showed you? Well, it's plastic. It wears, it tears, and most importantly, when it cracks, when they're old, you get play. The Miata shifter, even with play, is still a great shifter in my opinion. But when you're on track and you're trying to downshift from 4th gear to 3rd gear and you miss and go to 1st, there goes your motor. Or you go to 5th and then figure out, oh, you just dumped the clutch in 5th gear, now you lost traction, and you're gonna possibly hurt yourself or other people around you. Don't want to do that. Be responsible, get this fixed. On a street car, not as bad. In a autocross car, still kind of bad because you're still shifting. But this shifter isn't too bad. I've seen worse, but let's get this fixed. So, how do we start this whole process? Well, very simply, grab your shift knob, take that off. We have a screw right here, a matching one on the other side. Underneath our cup holders or ashtray, we have another one here, and another two in our glove box. So, grab this whole thing, bring it forward, it all comes off, and yeah, let's do it. So as you can see, we still got some wiring in the way because somebody, not me, decided to wire up the window switch with a permanent power source. Nice. So we have our center console out of the way here. You can see here that my shifter bushing in the middle, or not shifter bushing, the boot in the middle is absolutely spanked. I mean, look at this thing. I mean, it's coming apart. It's hard plastic, not rubber. So to get this thing off, it's just 4 10mm bolts. Pretty easy to come off. So we got the 4 of those bolts out. We just get these loose wires out of the way and very easily take this boot and lift up and around and get my fingers dirty. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's 2 separate pieces. Surprise, surprise. There we go. Well, there's my shifter boot. That's nice. As you saw, the new one is not that big of a hole, so that's great. Garbage. Then we've got the other bits of the shifter bushing. Oh my god. Whew. Don't let yours get this bad, folks. Look, here's a part of it that just came off. Nice. Here's another part. Nice. And then last and most certainly the least part. Nice. So here's what we got. We got our shifter. We got it on here with another 3 10mm bolts. And this is the actual shifter housing part. So you can see mine's oily because I lubed it up recently. And also because I did the shifter oil recently. I'll tell you how to do that because I don't need to do that right now, but I'll tell you how to do that because it's something that every time you take this off, you should do it. But I'm not gonna do it because, well, like I said, I just did it. So let me get these off and I'll show you how all this comes out. I'll get some gloves on. So you wanna make sure your shifter is definitely 110% in neutral before you take this thing out. Otherwise, you're gonna be fighting with it the whole time you're trying to get it out here. So you just wanna lift it straight up and it's out. As you can see, My shifter oil is very clean. Again, it's because I just did it. Now, if you're going to rebuild this shifter, well, you can replace all the bushings and everything else. Obviously, I have the new shifter, and I don't need this. I don't need a lot of the other things that come with it. So I can just take this all out, and we're all hunky-dory. Nice. So there's a couple things that still need to come out here. One is, if I can get out with my fingers, I probably can't. There is a plastic bushing in here. Oh, there you go. Pry it up a little bit with needle nose pliers. Maybe I can grab onto it. Maybe. Maybe. Nope, not quite yet. There we go. Now I can grab onto it. That's one thing that comes out, including that split ring. That's there. Gotta replace one of those. Also, you can't see it, but it needs to come out. Remember I was talking about that bushing that's in there? Well, the easiest way to get that out, it's supposed to come out with the shifter. Mine did not. Easiest way to see it would be siphoning the oil out of this NA turret housing, and well, guess what? I don't really have a siphon to do that. So we're gonna get to struggle and just kind of fish around for it. Let's see if I can get it.
Probably not. First try. That's just gross. We're getting part of it.
There it is. This is it. This is that shifter bushing that's bad. As you can see, well, this actually doesn't look too bad, but it is worn, that's for sure. Very smooth, but it's coming out now, which means we need a new one. Oh, actually, let me bring it closer in here. Give me a second. So if you look very closely, not sure if it'll focus or not, but there's actually a crack right there. See it a little bit right in that thin part? That's where I'm getting all my slop from. So get that out, get the new one in, and shouldn't be too bad. You take your shifter bushing, put on your finger, just lower it straight down there into the shifter. Make sure it's fully submerged. Get that sucker in there. Okay. So next we've got this lower fulcrum ball bearing bushing, or ball cock is the technical term actually. See these indents here? These are meant to line up with that dowel. So place it right on top. There we go. And next we have what makes the magic happen here. This is the offset bushing, right? So this is what it does, is what makes the short shifter shorter. So we got a paper gasket on the bottom here, and all it says to do per the instructions is take and make sure your dowels, right? This has 2 dowels on it. NBs have 2 dowels, NAs have 1, but make sure they line up. One of them lines up with your stock dowel on an NA, or both of them line up on an NB, and that they actually line up with the holes. So if I do this, this doesn't line up with the holes, but if I rotate this 180 degrees, magically, all of a sudden, wow, everything lines up. So yeah, perfect. Okay, so per the instructions, we want to lube the tip of the ball. We want to make sure and double check our work, make sure everything's all lined up and everything else. And then once we check that, we want to make sure we face the shifter towards the steering wheel, or you could potentially go the other way. I'm not, but you could. And then you kind of just drop this sucker in here, I think, or I'm wrong. What is going on here? I don't think this should. Oh, there we go. That is positive. Wow. Okay. And now we just rotate this a little bit to get this to line up. There we go. We're good. Let's tighten this down. So now we take the provided hardware here. These are the 30mm, the longer screws. And these are Nord-Lock washers. They're actually super cool. We tighten them down. So some people I've heard of breaking these, stripping them off, whatever, but per the instructions, all you need is get this to be where it's just snug and then a quarter turn. That's it. Snug, quarter turn. And this I've already done pretty much, but quarter turn. This is all tight. Woo, that is tight, that's for sure. All right, great. Let's start putting the big boot on and getting this whole thing together. So before you go too far with anything, what you want to do is you want to make sure that the shifter moves freely and that comes back to neutral. So I'm going to push in the clutch here. That's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. And then just go back to neutral. Yep, perfect. All right, so now getting the home stretch here. We take this reflective shield. This is the heat shield, so that, you know, one of the biggest problems in the Miata is the heat coming up from the transmission. Where it says this side down, guess what? This side goes down. Let's get around all the wiring here and everything. Pretty easy to do. Get it to come down here. Right. A little bit of jimmying, but we're good. Get to go around the shifter there. Okay. Next is our shift boot. Obviously, very nice. It's got a seal on there on the bottom, which OEM doesn't have, but this is actually an OEM boot with the number on it. And we just have to orient this the same way it came out. The two closer holes go toward the back of the vehicle. So we just kind of make sure, again, all our wires don't get in the way here. And then kind of, again, shimmy this down here. Get all the wires out of the way. Up, around, down. When a car is 25 years old, obviously, some people do some silly things with it, myself included, like build a race car. Some people will wire windows the way they shouldn't be wired and have it hot all the time. Won't name names. Not my cup of tea, but it is what it is. We got that on there. Okay, very nice. And there are M6 by 16 bolts that come with the kit, or I'm gonna use the OEM factory hardware. Maybe. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. Oh, okay, never mind. You cannot use the factory hardware. This is too short. So I'm gonna get those new bolts and throw them in. All right, next you take the reusable zip tie they provide, go around the base, and cinch it up. I'm not going to trim it because it's already pretty short. I'd rather not trim it if I don't have to. So there we go. Put that down there. Then next, we take the provided insulating boots, put it over. Actually, looks like it goes the other way. Kind of like that. Wrap this around the bottom. Supposedly, I might not even use this, but this is again what the manufacturer recommends, so this is what I'm going to do to show you guys who are doing this for not a race car, a really nice street car. And then supposedly you take the shifter support boot, is what he's calling it, shove her on there, call that a day, and then, and only then, well, let me push this all down and readjust this. But so now, if I can do this without hitting the camera too much, I take and grab my center console. Normally you have to plug in your window switch. I don't, because again, somebody hardwired mine in. Thank you, previous owner. But again, that was 9 years ago at this point. Wow. Plug in whatever that's supposed to be. I'm not really too sure because it's never worked anyways. Slide this over and down and around. Kind of do something like that, like this, like that. Move everything over. Hey, it's Future Ian watching this video saying, how the heck did I miss that wiring dangling out the side? Well, gotta go fix that real quick. But I didn't fix it in the video. Nice. And hey, Bob's your auntie, right? So once you get the screws in place, this all hold down, and yeah, that actually does support the boot pretty good there. With our center console back on here, fixed in place, take our cup holders, full of change, throw it in there, thread our shifter on because we only have an OEM one, because that's how I roll. I'll get another one eventually. You can watch me, and then we can watch as I orient this the right way. And now we've got a shifter that is much closer to where a steering wheel would be. Let me get this on here. It's kind of disorienting to look at. My own. Kind of hard to do with one hand. Yep. There we go. Look how close that is to the steering wheel. So now all I gotta do is that's it. Super nice. And look at that. There's little to no, I mean, there's a little bit of play, but nothing like it was before. I love that. That is so tight. So all together, we can all agree on something. I need a different shift boot because the stitching is blue and kind of gross and doesn't match anything anymore. And the stock shift knob looks okay, but kind of like something that makes it mine, you know? So other than that, that's pretty much it. I unfortunately probably will not be doing too much body work within the next few videos because, well, obviously body work's pretty much done. Got a couple things to adjust, maybe do some side skirts, maybe do a lip. I'm kind of undecided. So if that stuff happens and I design it, well, then you bet your buttons that I can definitely share that with you guys and my thought process. So we'll see. But right now, after all this, I need to do more research on the cooling system because I need to buy more parts. I wish I could give that to you guys this week, but unfortunately, not going to happen. So with all that being said, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching. If you like the content, give it a like. If you really like the content, consider subscribing. I do appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are awesome and really motivate me to come out here and work on my cars, plural. And yeah, you guys are great. So thank you so much. But yeah, that's it. So get out there, work on your cars, burn that midnight oil, because your cars are not going to work on themselves. If you want something that is yours, work on it. Do what you want to do, no matter what the internet says. I want to do this, so I did this. I'm making my dream come true, and you can make your dream come true. So you guys are great. So have a great night, great morning, or afternoon. I don't judge when you watch YouTube. So whatever you're doing, make sure it's great. Later, everyone.